Never help your sister or your brother take away the kids from their spouse. Never. Tell them I'll support you.
You got married, you had the kids, now you deal with it.
We do everything for our kids, and suddenly the man stops giving child support
Right.
to your own kids.
Right.
And she stops giving visitation. People are asking the Rabbunim about chinuch shalas and shalom bayis, and it has to stop.
Is going to unleash a tsunami of abuse, petrified over there, because they know they're never going to get a get.
But once I embrace the pain and I make it, I'm going to be free for the rest of my life.
Okay, we have here a chushev gast today. His name is Shloime Ehrlich. Shloime Ehrlich is the executive director, the founder of Achim Baderech. This is for people who are divorced. People, he's helping people get through the divorce process or after the divorce. He's giving them support and he tries to help out people. He also has an organization that helps people with blended families. That means after there's divorce, they get married and there's children, stepchildren. So this it's a huge topic, and it's a very big, tough process. How people to understand how to go about it and how to live their life to the fullest. Okay. And on top of everything, you also help teenagers. You help people who have troubled teens who so-called go off the derech and Kesher Nafshi and these type of things along those lines. So you have your hands full.
Yes, thank God. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. So if you want to share with us what drew you into this business, into this askunas, this holy work?
It all starts with my life, my story. My life is my story. Baruch Hashem, I was born and raised in Borough Park in a very, very happy home, I would say. Regular home, great parents, love my parents, a lot of siblings. Life was happy-go-lucky, more or less, till I got married. I did it the Chassidish style. You know,
which is like
an arranged marriage.
A shidduch, arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage.
From Friday night to Motzei Shabbos, there was a shidduch.
Less than that. Okay. It was international, and we went to we met for like a half an hour, and met one more time, and then the l'chaim was on the table already. That kind of shidduch, and Hashem wanted me to go through a very, very, very painful, and turbulent marriage, to say the least.
How long did that last?
Way too long. 6 years.
6
years. 6.5 years.
Oh.
And we had 3 children together. And I know people, the first question they go, so why did they have more kids? Yeah, but that answer is not going to come on the mic. But that's life. And things
it's
like
also
that.
People want to give it a chance. And people sometimes think that things are going to get better, or they think that a child will bring it together, you know.
I mean, by nature, I was born a thinker. I am a thinker. I always was. I always needed to know things, why, what, when, and where. I'm I have my wife always says I have a black hole, like a vacuum for information, which I'm always craving for more. And that's why I came out this podcast, because I saw some of your stuff and I was excited to see someone that's interested in the world, right. Not just a shallow podcast, right. Because I'm being asked on a weekly basis to come and speak, because I have been on many podcasts and Baruch Hashem was a big success, but I like to talk to other thinkers. That's so going through so much pain and going through so much therapy and help with my ex and stuff, and then after the divorce and then remarriage, it brought me to a lot of places.
So you had a lot of experience yourself. You did not read this in a book. You went through
right.
this yourself.
Exactly. Then I went professionally. I went to school for 3 years, but I think, and going through the dating, a remarriage to a woman, which is my wife now, most awesome lady in the world. Shout out to her, from Canada, from Toronto. She had 3 kids, and at the beginning I was thinking, why should I take a woman with 3 kids? My children are out of town. I'm not seeing them anyway. But then I just, basically a good friend of mine knew me, his wife knew her, and we dated. When I met her the first time, which was our first date, was like 5 hours, I realized this woman could have 25 kids. She's for me. It's not about how many kids you have. If a capable woman, number one, and then she's the woman that you're looking for, that's going to bring out your best, you could bring out her best. More children, less children, all these side things. And I'm thanking Hashem till today that I was smart enough at the time. I was 28, to know that I need a woman. It's not. And Baruch Hashem, 3 beautiful kids, all 3 are married. One of them is getting married now, the third one. Baruch Hashem, they're all doing great. And after we got married, while we were dating, actually, we got married. My wife was always saying, we were both like, it was like a jinx. She was saying, one day when we're going to get married, we're going to help, and we're going to look back helping our brothers and sisters that are going through divorce.
Went through the same thing.
The painful process. And that's what we did. And my wife's an affluent writer. So she wrote many articles in the pen name. And one day there was an article from Sister to Sister, an organization of divorced women, and my wife wrote back a response. And since then, she's involved in Sister, ever since.
It's like Avram Avinu and Surah.
Yeah.
They both are doing...
right, and different, yeah. I speak at Sister Shabbaton. It's going to be one in a couple of weeks now. We'll speak there again. And a few years later, we started, 2 of my friends came over to me and said that they went through the divorce. They said, we want to open up like Sister for the men. We'll call it Achim Baderich, brothers on the way, like the vegans.
Right. A journey.
And I was so excited. I said, yes, this is what I want to do. So it was 4 of us, me and 3 other guys. We opened it up. Baruch Hashem. Very painful organization, because the pain is to see how many normal, healthy Ingalat that are out there that are being judged and maybe even ostracized or stigmatized.
Still big.
So I think the very fact that we have this organization, I think it's running already 12 or 13 years. It went down the stigma. It's like it's not, you're not alone.
Normalizes it a little bit.
Yeah, it normalizes it. There's always at least 500 Ingalat there. I was there 2 weeks ago. We were there for Shabbaton. We make Shabbatons. I was there for the whole Shabbos. My wife, for over 100 Ingalat came. There's over 500. These are for Heimische people that speak Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Litvish also come if they understand Yiddish. You can't, but the women, it catch me all because it's in English, and Hasidim make a Shabbos, we daven late, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
So it's really Hasidic Heimische organization.
Amazing organization.
Yes, Baruch Hashem.
Makes a big difference. Now, what I want to do is I want to go back to the beginning, before even any problems start.
Okay.
I want to understand first let's touch on this, on the Chusen lessons or the Kala lessons, that the problem is, we're going to talk about divorce. There's a lot to talk about. But first I want to understand, is there what's the problem with the foundation? Is a person, 2 young couples, 2 young people are getting married. Do they understand the foundation of what marriage is all about? What is my role in the marriage? What's my mission in this marriage? The world is divided in givers and takers. Right. But young people, they start life and they both go for, the education. What's your opinion about the education? Is it something missing to build a solid foundation before it even starts what we're going to get into?
Amazing question. I'm very happy asking it, because it's burning in me to bring out to the world this subject. But can we pause it for a second and go to one step even before that? How the shidduch happens in the first place?
Correct.
So I have a very good friend. His name is Shloime Ehrlich, a fellow therapist in Monsey. And both of us are second marriage and helping. And we decided, we opened up a program. It's called Keshurim.
Okay.
Keshurim means it's an educational program. We gave it out. We have a website for parents, for the Heimische people that still want to do shidduchim the way it was done with pshos instead of dates. And we gave them a formula, an ingredients, a system, how to look for a shidduch, how to know what your child is looking for. And
this is for the parents.
For the parents. So we're educating the parents on how to do a shidduch. And it's like 6 to 8 hours class, and it's amazing stuff, information how to do with shidduchim. Shidduchim are very pushy. Right. They don't let you think. They're saying the Baba is leaving to Europe tomorrow. You have to finish the shidduch tomorrow.
They're guilt-tripping you.
They're guilt-tripping you, and all those stuff.
Who do you think you are? And you're the Balgava, and this. They push you left, right, and center. But it's all a business.
It's all a business. So
everybody is doing their job, and in the meantime, people on the fuchs are getting...
But they're just old-fashioned and not realizing that This is the biggest decision in a person's life, is the shidduch. So by the Heimische Welt, where the parents are the ones that do the shidduch, 90% of the shidduch is based on information, and 10%, if there is on the psho.
Right.
We're trying to push the folder a little bit. It should be, it could be 90% on information, but it should be much more percentage on the boy meeting the girl.
Right.
So we do a lot of education on that, and that's an amazing program. We need to do more about it, and the response is amazing. It's quite a new thing that we started.
But I noticed that when it comes to dating, because I speak to a lot of people also, and they tell me that everybody's on their best behavior when it comes to a date.
Right.
So that means a person can go out for 3 to 6 months, and they're not the same person. As soon as you come home, you start seeing,
Right.
you come home with Laya instead of with Rochel,
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of blue ones, but I think that there's a system over there as well, which me and my wife are doing now. We're both doing dating coaching for remarriage, and constantly, I have a few a week, literally. I see the men, my wife sees the women, and they could have a different dating coach. It doesn't have to be us as a couple.
Right.
And we know how to ask questions of how the date go. Did you discuss? We have a whole list of conversations they could have.
Right.
We are the ones that are sensing if there's some question marks or red flags. A question mark is something that I wonder why she said this and he said this and why you felt that way. In other words, we'll get to the bottom of it. Maybe meet one more time, 2 more times, and we'll get to the bottom of it. A red flag is something that we can't get to the bottom. It's like a red flag. There's something going on over here. We need to make a decision. Do I want to live with this or not?
Right.
And we teach them how by dating it's all about values, sharing values rather than sharing excitements and liking the same movies. Oh wow, you like chocolate? I also like chocolate. Yay. That's nice to have a lot of things that are common. It's quite attractive. But even more, a marriage has to be based on sharing the same values. So if the values are shared, which I call the glue in the marriage, anything else can be worked on if they have good middas. But the main thing is the values. Are there going to be people that it's not 100% foolproof? It's not, but it's definitely if you follow a system, just like investing in real estate and other stuff, you followed, you did the right thing, and if it didn't work out, you don't get turned off. You go in again, and what are you going to do? But if you didn't do the due diligence and the real process and doing it the right way, then you're going to have a fear of doing it again because you're not going to trust yourself.
Correct.
Many women don't want to get remarried because they don't trust themselves, or they don't trust that there is a formula out there to help someone do the max they can to make sure they're marrying the right guy again.
How much do you think is spirituality if, let's say, a bucher or a girl has no idea, they have no relationship with the Rabbi Shalom, and they're coming in not with bittel and not with with a min and betuchen, believing that it's meant to be. When you're ready, I'm talking now, you were talking before the engagement. I'm talking, let's say they're engaged and with the classes and everything, but they don't get the part of, I'm not owed anything. Everything is a gift, and I'm gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? It's how much is missing from that part of the education. So there's halucha that we understand that before a chusakala gets married, but there's life that they don't know what their role in marriage is. Young people.
It is confusing. The only role marriage they have is their parents. So some of them have a few older siblings, and some people have very bad impressions.
Of what marriage is all about.
Marriage is all about.
Yeah, and some want what they want. That all they come in to serve themselves.
Right.
So if they come in to serve themselves, you're just, what can I get out of it?
Right.
And you come into
it's the outlook on marriage. So again, if someone comes to me, I think they get, I know they get a very good education. Not only the halachas, that's the smallest part. It's very quick. It's much more.
You give chassan lessons too? Oh, you learn with chassanim too.
But mainly with working boys or the regular yeshiva usually do that.
But give me a gist of what the foundation of what you tell a boy. What is marriage all about?
Okay, beautiful. I the way I see the Yiddish hashkafa is the way we see marriage is that everything that's in this world is an example for us how to relate to Hashem, to God Almighty. How do we connect to Hashem? If I would have if I wouldn't have certain needs or wants, I wouldn't know to use it towards Hashem. In other words, if I realize that I need a partner, I need to be connected, it's a give and take, and then you tell me God wants with you the same, Hashem wants with you the same relationship, then I know how it looks like. So everything, all our needs, soon talk about there's a sign, mid is the 7 traits that every human has. There's chesed and the whole folder of chesed, which includes love as a have, and rachmim as mercy, and empathy, and all these things that's under the category of chesed. And then gevurah, meaning you have to know when to say no, you need to constrain, and pachat, and fear. and so we have all those Zayin Midas in us, the 7 traits, and then the way we use it on this world, we're able to connect to Him. He could have created us with 2 more or 2 less, and whatever we have. If we wouldn't have fear in this world, we'd never fear God. We wouldn't love in this world, we wouldn't love God. So whatever we have, the tools, we're able to use in this world to enjoy it, and again, also to connect to Hashem. So the way I see it is, a marriage is the greatest opportunity for avodas Hashem. If you know how to do that, you know what your other needs, someone opposite than you, the opposite gender needs, and you know how to give it, and you realize it's all about sharing and giving, then when it comes to your relationship to Hashem, it's also the same thing. I'll tell you a quick story, which is probably controversial to people that are not very Hasidish. The Vaditcher Roof, we all know the Bleivitzke Vaditcher. He, I'll say it quickly, one Yom Kippur night, he didn't come out to Kol Nidre. They're waiting, the whole shul is waiting, we need to daven. And finally comes out with a red face, and he runs up to the Uren Kodesh, to the Paroiches. He opens up the Uren Kodesh and starts saying, I'm speaking to you on behalf of the whole community. It's Yom Kippur tonight. Yes, we all sinned, we did Avaydus, and we did Lashon Hara, but who made all the Almunas? Who made all the Yisraelim? Who made all the people sick? You did. You forgive us, we'll forgive you. Yeah. And he closed it and encouraged, went back to daven. And of course, after davening, it's a big lineup asking Rabbi, what is that? He said, I saw in Shemaim, the tzaddikim were able to see that this year there's a lot of gezaitis in Shemaim, whatever. It doesn't. It looks bleak. It doesn't look too good. And I realized that there's no other way to connect to Hashem other than the real way we connect in this world. He says, can you imagine if you're not able to tell your spouse something that bothers you about them, then you're not close.
Right.
So I went up to Hashem and I said, Hashem, of course, you don't have to say everything day one after your marriage. Yeah. Wait for the right time to say something. So that's the way we see marriage. Marriage is a relationship, a very deep, meaningful relationship where a man realizes that he cannot have a successful, happy life without a wife, as she realizes she can't have without him. It does not mean that she can't live without him, or he cannot live without her. You don't want to marry someone that can't live alone, that doesn't want to. That's great. Yeah. I'm married because I want to be married, and I believe in the unit and unity of marriage, and that's the best thing for me and the best thing for my wife. But I could live without her, because otherwise it becomes codependency, right? And that's unhealthy. So we need very independent people getting married to each other by choice, realizing that of course there's going to be a lot of good days. That's what I need. And then the man has more of a need to give than the woman. They both need to give and take. But Hashem created us just like our physical body. We are givers, and the woman is a taker. We are the emotion.
It's like the mashpia makabel.
Mashpia makabel. Yeah. So we are. Why don't we mashpia? We're not mashpia. We're not their boss. We're not controlling them. We're not living the opposite. We're
providers.
We're providers mainly in emotional support. You see, till 200 years ago, till there was electricity in the world, Industrial Revolution, before, let's assume how marriage looked like. So the guy, whatever, person left in the morning the house, he went out, or he was a hunter or a farmer, and he went out in the field, and the wife didn't see him the whole day. She took care of the chickens, and she maybe had some neighbors, and then she waited for him the whole day to come home. She prepared him a beautiful supper. He couldn't wait to come home and give her a hug and whatever. And what did he bring home? He brought home security. The big, strong man, alpha male, came home. She knew she's safe. Number 2, he brought him the news because he was out. He brought him money. He brought him everything. And he also brought him emotional support. Once the electricity came into the world and women went out to work in the sewing machines and the newsprint came out, and then there was democracy, there's police officers. So what's left for us? So it seems like there's nothing left, but really, I think Hashem took everything away because that was just distraction. The real thing is still here, and here, begadol, in a big way,
emotional support.
The emotional support. So if a woman feels that my husband is in tune in my life, he's in tune in my feelings, I'm like everything to him, she's very happy. In that way, he's a giver.
Right.
And they're taker. It doesn't mean that she cannot support herself. It doesn't mean that she cannot go out and work and she's less, the opposite. Right. The need. So the man gets married because he wants to give. He wants to care for. We have such a need to give. A healthy man is like,
I spoke to somebody once and he said that he was in jail. And he says the hardest part for him to be in jail is not to be needed.
Wow.
He said that was the hardest part. But forget about all the other hardships.
Right.
But just to know that he doesn't have to pay the bills and everything is going without him, and he's not every minute getting a phone call. I need, do it.
Right. Yeah.
That, a person is a man needs that.
Right. Right. So this
He
is what
needs
we
to be
teach
needed.
Chanem.
Yeah.
Just and a boy when he gets married, our boys that are 18, 20, whatever, 25-year-olds, until they didn't develop that part in themselves yet. So in the beginning of marriage, it takes time to switch from teenage, which is a taker, tati buy me, take me,
Right.
paying the tuition. But eventually, a year or two after they're married, they become a real provider.
So education and awareness of what marriage is all about is very crucial.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when you see so many people who are going, these divorces that you see, is it Divurim shel ma bekach? I mean, sometimes it's nothing and sometimes it's severe. Do you see sometimes that little narishkeiten, they could have been prevented a divorce? Do you see that?
No. I disagree with that. I know many people that say that many divorces could have been saved. I think it's not true.
When the day comes that they decide that they want to divorce, there's a legitimate reason for it.
Yes, the people don't know. People at tzaddikim. I have people in my office constantly. I just had a couple that got divorced a few months ago. A very, very fresh couple, and the other side with tzaddikim, they were righteous people. They didn't want to share with the world things about her, and I knew it. It was in my office, and I was involved with the psychologist and everything. And for them, the payback for them being so nice and not being wanting to hurt the other side, they went around saying the divorce happened for nothing, and the mother wanted, the boy never wanted the divorce, and they're still keeping their mouth shut. It's tzaddikim mamish. I've seen many such cases. I would say, I don't know exact number. I'd say maybe 1 or 2% of divorces it could have been prevented. Nobody likes the divorce.
No, it's the last resort.
It's the last resort. It's very painful. People say, it's a disposable generation. People that say that are not in this field.
Right.
I'm dealing with this daily. I do marriage counseling every day, and we're in this, and I'm involved in all the organizations. We interview them. I'm happy asking because I really wanted to go on.
Yeah. And let's walk through the first steps. Let's say when a couple somehow there's a rift between them. Something is happening. It's starting to boil. Something. The first thing what they do is, I mean, in the Heimische community, and maybe in the other community also, whatever, is they go to the local roof.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Let's go to the roof.
That's the first problem.
That's the first problem. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to, because sometimes you go to this roof. Let's say the husband davens by this roof in the shield, and he has a relationship with him.
Right.
First of all, who says this roof is bechal competent even to touch the subject? This is number one. Yeah. But number two, he's looking at it like how he would handle his own daughter or his own son. And he gives ideas and things. He's making more damage than good.
Right.
So the first step that every parent would tell the child, let's go to the roof. Let's go to the roof. Sometimes the roof knows. I mean, he's been around the corner long enough, or he went through his own, and he refers people to professionals and stuff like that. But what do you think about this concept of?
I think it's not only divorce. Anything else we ask the Rabbunim, the local roof Rabbunim, people that are very great bucherim that turned into good learners, and they got a roof, they became a roof. Beautiful, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They have they're good analyzers. They're very smart. But there's something that's smarter than smart is experience.
Right.
And if they don't have experience in this particular field. I have it all the time. There's certain things that I say, this I know, this I don't know. Although I could think of ideas, I say, I don't have experience in that. So go to this and
you
this
refer them to something.
I refer to someone else. So I think our community became, people are asking the Rabbunim about chinuch shalas and shalom bayis, and it has to stop. It's just nonsense. It doesn't
there's
work.
Horror stories.
Horror stories. Even let's see, talking on luchas. Hilchas Lushan Hara when it comes to shidduch, which is one of my strong things that I want to get out there. A lot of bucherim and girls are very innocent, and they want to do the good. Because we want to be good. And we say good information. Deep inside
that's something.
So you'll ask your local roof. Ask a roof that knows Hilchas Lushan Hara inside out.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean just because it's a roof and knows Yeridaya.
Yeah.
So
that's Inkibud Avayim comes into that also. A lot because parents have images that they want to upheld, and they make shidduchim for themselves. And it's like, it's hard to blame. It's not about blaming parents, not about blaming, but these are issues that need to be discussed.
Yes, and this is our podcast like this are going to help Klal Yisrael.
Hopefully.
This is.
Yeah, this is not small. This is not small issues that people
I
have.
would say a huge chunk. I used to say 60%, but it's probably a little less by now. From my own case studies, meaning from the few hundred people that I know that are divorced, that went through my office, that I know up front, I would say a huge percentage, over 50% in the heimische Welt, is where the shidduch shouldn't have been in the first place. The cause for divorce is the shidduch shouldn't have been in the first place. But the heimische Welt.
Yeah.
There's a small percentage, the Schwieger problems, a small percentage, health issues, a small percentage, Yiddishkeit change after marriage. There's a small percentage of everything else. The majority, it's very sad that this is the case, and it's still happening.
Because the decisions are made for side interest.
And they don't know their kids. We don't know our children.
You don't even, because the children didn't share with the parents.
They don't.
What they really like, or what they really want, or what they.
And where they're up to in Yiddishkeit, where they're up to.
Right.
Where they're up to. I'm dealing with boys. I was just on Israel a few weeks ago. I'm going again next week with Hashem. There's a big organization called Atzmi, an organization that takes the Bukhrim, the American Bukhrim, and Israel. And instead of just waste their time, so we make for them Shabbatons and events, and we talk about life and Yiddishkeit, and they bring me in. Right. And I'm sitting with these boys, over 150 Bukhrim, throughout extended weekend, and they could ask me anything. We're talking about marriage and life and Yiddishkeit. And I would say the majority of these Bukhrim are very nervous and trusting their parents and being shidduchim
because they have no relationship.
They have no relationship.
They don't even know what that.
And the generation changed so much. Our parents to us, they're aliens most parents are aliens in their children's life. Right. So I tell them how to talk to their parents and sit down with them and say, Tati, I want to tell you exactly what I need. I know that this was a value to you. This is not a value to me. This is not a value to you. This is a value to me. And I want you to understand, if you want to find a shidduch, a lot of Bukhrim are very nervous to get married because there's a lot of divorces. And they want what's right. So
what do you recommend? They should sit down with the parents?
Yes, ask them for an appointment. I say,
you have to just
not by the way while your father's eating chult. No, it's not going to work.
Right.
Say, Tati or Mommy or both.
We have something to say.
I have something to say. I want to share with you. I want to thank you all your life, taking care of me and everything. I had the sandwiches. I say, I want you to understand that I want my wife to wear a plain sheitel, nishka spitzel, whatever it is, or the opposite. Right. And they have to. And then the parents,
these children, they know the parents, they know the resistance that's going to come, they know the price. Some will pay a price for this.
True.
There's a possibility that this person would say, you know what, that's not my, I'm not,
But these kids, it's very sad what I'm going to say, but these kids are probably for sure going to have to deal down the road with other issues they have with the same parents.
If you're not going to do this.
If the parents are not flexible, then the child has already issues to deal with. This is
not something that goes away. The problem it becomes bigger and bigger.
It becomes bigger and expands.
Yeah. So, and the next step is after you go to a roof, and you talk with the roof and you explain him the problems as he can help. He doesn't help anyway. It ends up by Din Toyanim right now. The Din Toyanim after the roof.
Yeah.
If you say there's nothing you can do, it ends up by Din Toyanim. Now here's a huge issue in another major topic called Toyanim. The Toyanim and the Din Toyanim. You see, I just want to walk till we're going to get to the divorce. I want to get through all the steps. What's involved, and horror stories coming out of Din Toyanim.
Yeah.
What these bezins are doing. First of all, the money is like all of a sudden the couple didn't have money. The parents from both sides didn't have money. All of a sudden money has to come flying in because the Toyanim is costing fortunes.
I'm going to say something that's very controversial. Sorry, I'm going to. But it's a metzias. It's a fact. I think it's a fact, in my opinion. Heimische parents feel very guilty when the child was unhappy married because they're the ones that did the shidduch.
Mm-hmm.
They need to, it's subconscious. They need to prove to the child that I love you. So they're going to say, don't give in. Don't let your ex see your child. And they'll come up with all the money, help the child fight to show the child that I do love you. I do care for you. Mm-hmm. It's subconscious.
Subconscious, they feel that this was not the right way of doing things.
Yeah,
and
they want to own up now in a way by showing I'll fight for you.
Yeah.
And in the modern world, in the world that most of the shidduch was done by the couple, not by the parents, then there's much more actions after a divorce. But all these
you
divorces,
don't see that kind of
way less
pushback, like visitations and custody. It doesn't
70% less.
Mama.
Yeah.
I can't say because I spoke to some attorneys also, and they said that what's going on in the courtrooms, which is step number 3.
Right. Yeah, but the court, the percentage of from in the frum world fighting for children and custody and all this stuff is much more
the Hasidim.
by the Heimish Welt.
It's amazing what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff.
Again, by the modern Welt, if there's money, if there's to fight over, they own courts, they own properties. It's not the parents, it's the couple themselves, or the ex-couple are fighting for something But if there's no money involved, it's just the children, visitations, and all this stuff. This aspect is by the Heimish Welt terrible.
Wow.
I think because the parents are mixing in, and the roof also that told him, just mach the shidduch.
Yeah.
He also wants to now be involved, if he's not totally Erlich.
Right.
And let's go back to Toyanim. I think it's neged halacha.
Because they look at it as a job. They look at it as, I'm not taking any sides. If you hire me, I'm your side. But in the meantime, first of all, they're costing fortunes of money. But second of all, is there any experience that you have that a Toyan helped in any way, shape, or form, or like
I was
in a positive way?
I was dealing with someone that was dealing with a family of narcissists and real personality disorder situation, which is one of my expertise.
Yeah.
And I was there with him. We went down to because I knew they're going to manipulate everybody around the
Right.
and the roof and everything. He'd hired a Toyan that's a monster, bigger than all of them. He's also a narcissist, the Toyan,
Right.
and he scared them like Trump is scaring all these foreign countries now. All these dictators are scared only from, in America we want to be nice and kind and negotiate.
Yeah.
You can't negotiate with a terrorist. You can't negotiate with a personality.
He found his own kind.
So you need your own kind. You need someone even stronger. And he had a Toyan like that, and the other side behaved like amazing because he came all the way. The other Toyan were going like you would do with other healthy people, trying to negotiate, outsmart a little bit. But sometimes when you're really dealing with unhealthy people that are fighters,
You have no
you
choice.
take someone even bigger, like Trump told North Korea, have a bigger butt. That works, you remember?
Yeah.
Something like that. So you do it. But really, a Toyan was meant to be originally, a lot of people not able to express themselves. They're two honest people and really want to know what the Torah
Also,
says.
they don't know the halacha.
The Toyan knows the halacha.
You're right. So that's what I'm saying. The person
But
hires
the Toyan now tells the roof the halacha. That's
Right.
where it went off. And the Toyan is trying to manipulate the other side, and it's very unhealthy. But we could go on something even more painful to me than Toyanim, is the way the Bezdin is being paid. In the Alte Zeiten, the town, every town had a roof and a shochet and a Bezdin. The Bezdin, the Dayunim got paid from the community, not per case. Now, I come into the Torah with someone else. We're both paying the Rabbunim.
Right.
This is nicht ausgehalten. The same thing with Hechshayrim. If I have a restaurant and I pay the roof to give a hechsher,
He's paid out.
Rav Lando, from Bnei Brak, him and his father were paid by Bnei Brak, Kehillah. And he would never take a penny or a present. If anybody had a store and sent Erev Pesach a gift to Rav Lando, said, "Do one more time, I'm taking off my hechsher," that was real. There's very few butadinim that don't take money directly from people, and I don't understand it.
So you think that it's a business? That's all it is. They're dragging it out, but also
they'll give you the excuse that Lamasa there's no Kehillah today. Who's going to pay that? You don't need to get paid. But still, it's kasher the aver, even if you don't know who gave it to you, right?
Right.
People think it's a Satmar, it's a Chassidus,
Yeah.
right? The koich of the fire is in the niffle, and if it's oil, it burns bigger. If it's wax, it burns less.
Right.
So you want to pay your malamda with kosher money, and it has a koich. We believe in that. So money coming from people, where does that?
Right.
And Toyanim is a disaster. I've been with people.
People are like, the people lose trust in these. And what happens? They end up in court.
Yeah.
Someone gets upset, and this and that, and with the heta, without the heta, but at the end they end up in court. This is a terrible thing. Also,
Thousands.
it's $100,000 attorneys, but also the Chil Hashem is.
The kids get hurt because there's always forensic. There's always you take a Heimische kid, a Heimische Moised, and this.
All of a sudden, he becomes an expert.
To your house every
court.
week, and they interview you.
Yeah.
They ask the kids a lot of questions, conversations that we don't talk to our kids about, and it's very, very. These children, I speak to them when they're married already, and they tell me that they went through this. It damages them for life. There's a certain whole. People told me it's never going to be fixed, and the animosity between parents is hurting the child forever.
Yeah.
A child is not allowed to know that my parents disagree in a marriage, and even more so in divorce.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for them.
Right. Because what's interesting is when it comes to divorce, it brings out the worst in both. I mean, you see things that you never saw before. You couldn't believe this stuff is coming out of these people's mouths, and they'll go below the belt, they'll massacre, and they'll go to the, they'll do the craziest
The question
things.
is like why? Because on the one hand, you see parents go on fire for their children, right? What would we not do for our kids?
Right.
The moment we get divorced, we hurt our kids. Why is that? How does that work? It's so painful to see, and I think that there's a self-righteousness comes into the mind that I'm doing it for my child's. There is if you could find what it is and take it out of the person, he'll stop fighting. I've seen it. Because a person cannot take his child to the slaughter.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
You'll jump at the fire before your kid.
Right.
We've seen it through history. Eden jumped into the buses in Shloime where the bus bounced to save their child and they got burnt. We do everything for our kids, and suddenly the man stops giving child support to your own kids.
Right.
And she stops giving visitation. Well, she has a self-righteousness. She says, it's for the favor of the kid. I don't want to see this abusive father.
Right.
And he says, if I'll give her the money, she'll only buy drugs. I don't want to. It's not going to get to my child. So
it's unbelievable the way the awareness is missing. But how much do you feel that parents, or from both sides, are fueling the fire? Is it
a lot?
A lot.
Yeah,
so let's say if you would take that out of the equation, you think a lot of things would have been different.
Yes.
Because the couple for itself,
sure,
they have their differences, and like you said, there's a child involved, but the parents and siblings are fueling the fire.
100%. Because
is
they
it
need to prove a
ego?
point.
Is it also
they need
ego?
to prove a point.
Ego improving a point. That's what you
It's
think.
a hidden point.
I mean, they still love their kids. There's no two ways about it. Because going in, even when they made the shidduch, like quickly, like they made, it's also they want the best for their kids.
Right.
I mean, they hope for the best.
They don't believe that there's a way to know more, so they start using the bashet word.
Right.
And I always tell people the word bashet is only after the l'chaim. Till the l'chaim, I don't want to hear the word bashet.
Right. It's your shtadlus. You have to do whatever you have to do.
You open up a business, you don't say bashet until the door opens.
Right.
And from then on, you start davening, Hashem should send the customers. But you put into that store everything you can. You decorate it, you advertise, you make sure that the company is running everything with cycle. And then, of course, everything, if a customer is going to come in or not, that's bashet.
That's bashet.
But you don't say bashet while you're doing the process. And while you're doing information on the shidduch, you have to do it as the whole thing is up to you. It's not bashet.
Right.
Yet.
When does a person know? Let's say there's bumps, ups and downs in the marriage. You know, all the time. I mean, that's normal, and to straighten things out. Two different wirings, two different people coming together, thinking completely different, two different fabrics. When does a person know that you know what, this is not working? When should he have that little poison in their head that, you know, maybe we should look someplace else?
Okay.
What must happen?
What must happen? I think when core values get crossed, a marriage is, you know, you like chocolate and vanilla. You know, it's most marriages could be fixed if they're two healthy individuals, just different natures and regular standard issues, healthy issues, we call it.
Give me an example of core values. Let's say Yiddishkeit.
For Yiddishkeit, because Yiddishkeit is not, most people don't know their own values, but yeah, I got clarity. That's the sad part.
Right.
But at least the value believing that Shabbos, you can't be involved Shabbos, so you can't. A lot of Yiddishkeit keeping the halachas.
And the way you want to raise your children. So if you see that this is going in a different direction, we don't believe in the same. So that's a major
Divorce
point.
doesn't help them.
No.
Because then you're again at the same, she's going to send her and there, and it's still going to be a compromise. It's still not going to be.
You mean if one person is less religious than the other, it's going to come to visitation and custody and decision making. Divorce does not help for that.
Not at all.
So there's always an underlying thing that's.
People are not smart. If they get divorced for that reason, they're not smart.
Because you're not doing anything.
I'll tell you a beautiful story. The Heilige I heard it. I'll tell you from who I heard it from. The Pinchas Meisels, the Dayan from Seagate.
Okay, yeah.
He told me the story. I was sitting with my father. I was sitting and hearing the story from him. He told me that as a distant cousin, his mother is from Etzisro from Yerushalayim, the previous Rebbe. She's still alive, the Alter Rebbetzin. She's her first cousin, or second cousin, or whatever in Yerushalayim after the war, post-war in Yerushalayim. They had a daughter looking for shidduch. They found another Rebbe's family. They found another Rebbe's shidduch, a boy with the holy Yerushalayim, a garb, and okay, they got married. The girl comes home a few days after the chasnas to her parents. She starts crying. She says, "My husband is not religious." Shabbos? Nothing. Like, the parents went frantic. They ran to the Chazanish, the Heilige Chazanish to Bnei Brak. They come, Rebbe, we have a problem. Our daughter needs to get divorced. And he said, what's going on? He said, he's Michal Shabbos, he's not nothing. He calls, he says, I want to talk to the Zinga Vavela, the one that just got married. He calls into the room and he asks her like this. Do you like him? Yes. Does he have good middays? Good manners? A good person?
Yeah.
Yes. If you could come home to him and tell him he should keep Taras Mishpucha, between husband and wife, he's going to leave chinuch up to you. You're going to decide to send the kids. And he's not going to be Michal Shabbos in front of the kids. If he does those 3 things, do not divorce him. Chazanish. She comes out, she tells her parents, and her parents, what are the chashayigits? They go into the Chazanish again and said, Rebbe, how is that possible? He said, that's Sas Torah. He came to me. You don't get divorced just because he's not religious. It's none of your business. And he promised them, the couple, if you're going to let her continue with him, they're going to have children, they're going to shine the world. They're going to have very good kids. Mm-hmm. I heard this from Pinchas Reb, Rabbi Tzaddik and Pinchas Meisels. He told me, he didn't want to say the name, it's the second, third cousin of his. He said, all of the children over there, I learned the Torah, Magid Shirim. And I asked him, what happened with that? He said he was Michal Shabbos still after he married off all his kids. And they had a beautiful life. And it's a through Bechlal, you see a lot, but the Svardische, you see one of the spouses is from and the other is not. Right. You don't need to get divorced for that. This is Das Torah.
That is not a reason to get divorced.
No. They say they want to save the kids. It's not saving, it's ruining the kids. I just had a divorce that I was involved with 2-3 years ago, and she went over the derech. She did not. She kept Shabbos. She went very modern. She took off a shaitel, which she's allowed to after divorce, and maybe she's wearing leggings. Nothing scary. Yeah. And the other side is very ultra community, and they raised a lot of money to help the single man take away the kids. I went to court, and I told him, not only are you going to lose in court, you're going to lose your kids. His oldest son is in public school now, and the other 2 kids are walking around without kaplach. Wow. And the guy, every time I meet him, he cries. He said, it wasn't really him, it was the Askunim and the people in the community. Yeah. We're going to take away from this woman. She's Michal Shabbos. I know she wasn't, but even if she would, listen, you don't gain anything from fighting. Ever. You'd never gain from fighting. And you'll never gain from taking away the kids from the father or from the mother. And that's, to me, also a very, very sore topic. First of all, because I didn't see my own kids for 13 years. I didn't see my son. My other son I didn't see for 5 years, and my daughter I didn't see for 9 years. They're all back here. And now I'm begging them to talk to their mothers, so the things switched around. Yeah. But I know the pain. And I know the pain of the kids. Forever. They were holding their heart. They were taken away from the father, their mother, even if the father's a psycho. Yeah. Even if the father's whatever.
Still their father, still their mother.
Still the father, still the mother. And if you need to have a visitation with a Shloime over there, so what is it called?
Like a...
No, it has an... slipped my mind. Yeah. Someone to be there, no problem. But you can't take away a child from a father and a mother and never get involved helping someone in your family.
So what if one person is like ultra, and the wife, let's say, wants a little different school for the kids? You're saying that divorce is not it's not going to help. Is not going to help. So the question is, no, because they're fighting in court, who should have decision making, custody or whatever. Right. But
so the other spouse is just going to poison the kids anyway.
Right. So even if the kids is in the chai the way you want, the other spouse is going to... You're not winning this game.
You're not winning the game. You're seeing the other spouse. The other spouse is going to get married to someone modern. I deal with it on a daily basis.
Yeah,
daily basis. These kids are anyway going to be exposed. And I want to tell you something. My wife's ex, I'm very close to him, and I could mention it because I'm buddies with him. Really, we get along very well, and we married.
Because he is part of the.
My wife's kids always went to him, and we're really working together. But he chose a modern way, and he's proud of it, and that's what I'm allowed to say it. He used to be Hasidish, now he's more modern. He trims his beard, doesn't wear a hat, and he's from Erlich. But my children grew up going to him. My wife's children, our children used to go to him every second Shabbos, and they were exposed to certain things that we didn't do in our house, and they grew up beautiful, very Hasidic.
It is
very
what it is, yeah.
They still made their choice. Why? I think they got a lot of healthy connection, relationship to me and to my wife, and they didn't miss their father because they had him, and then they made a choice. They want to be more modern, more Hasidic. It's their decision, and they all grew up awesome, mamish, Hashem. Right. So Hashem gave me a lot of things in my life. I guess it should be. I don't know. I would
help other people. Yeah. Sometimes a person goes through certain things. So, and at that time he doesn't know why.
Right.
He's like, "Oh my God, I can't take this." And then later you find out, you know what?
It wasn't
the Hashem made me a shliach. Yeah.
And I'm always telling the world that stop it, stop fighting. It's Yiddishkeit. the father's going to tell the kids something. A kid, it's okay. You put in your best, and
That's
but my
all you can
spouse,
do. You're not
do
in
you.
charge. You're not in.
You're not in charge.
You're not in control. This is something that's. You got married. You had the kids. Now you deal with it. Deal with it the best way possible. Don't just fight back.
Even if you're fighting for what's right,
Yeah.
you're still fighting, and your spouse sees you fighting,
Right.
and that in itself is not good.
It's not healthy.
Not healthy. Never help your sister or your brother take away the kids from their spouse. Never. Tell them I'll support you. Even if you feel your sister's wrong for the divorce, you still have to support it's your sister. But don't do another thing wrong by hurting her kids.
Correct.
Don't hurt the kids. Never,
Wow.
ever hurt kids.
Wow. Now, what do you say to these people who are in not healthy marriages,
Yeah.
and they're literally afraid to leave because that person is going to unleash a tsunami of abuse and all these things, and they're petrified over that because they know they're never going to get a get.
Yeah.
They know that this guy, they know him better than anybody else, and they find that this guy, if you don't play his game, you will never see a get. So they sit and they take it, and they. What do you say to these people?
My message to them is, it's painful. It's called a trap.
Yeah.
And I once watched some clip somewhere. It was so impactful for me, and I want to share it. There's this guy that he was interviewed just 2 years ago. He escaped American prison 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Now he's an old guy. He's almost dying, and I forgot where he was, in the Bahamas, somewhere in one of the islands. And he came out. He said, remember this guy? It's me. He knew he was going to die. He's like a 90-something.
Right.
So they asked him, how did he escape the prison? He was in the maximum prison in, I don't remember which state. And asked him how he did it. And he said, listen, I made myself a choice. I'm being in prison for life, or I'm going to escape and embrace a lot of pain escaping. Which one I'm going to do? But once I embrace the pain and I make it, I'm going to be free for the rest of my life. He said that it's a long thing, but I'll take in the short version of it. He knew the times that the guards were in different places. He went through air-conditioned ducts.
Right.
He had to he hanged, I think he said, for 4 hours on one hand, a very tight space, knowing when the guards are not down there, and then he let himself fall. He knew he was going to break the left leg. He had to escape the barbed wires, get scratched. He had a whole cheshbon that he's going to have one leg and one hand that's going to help him out of prison. But once he's out, and he had a plan who's going to take him. He embraced for it. He embraced the pain. He hurt himself every day.
He knew
exercise.
It's coming. Yeah.
He knew it's coming. And that's how he got out. I think the only way to leave an abusive marriage is by take a little bit more pain, get scratched, break an arm, break a leg, so to speak, figuratively.
Go through it.
But go out, and once you're out, you'll be free forever.
Right.
And Hashem will, you'll figure it out. So a trap is only a trap if you're not. A trap means as pain here, pain there. But where's the long term?
Right.
Go for the long term.
Right. So what you're saying is very important, and it's an important message for victims and for people who they know they have a gut. Their intuition tells them this is not working, this is not good, and I'm being abused and stuff like that, and I'm going to pay a price for this.
Right.
But it's worth it.
Yes.
Just
life is so
do
much
it,
longer.
and like you can have a beautiful life on
Embrace
the other
pain.
side,
It's very painful.
and you'll go through it.
Yeah, I just had a couple that were separated for quite a while, and also he was quite threatening and all kinds of stuff, and I told her, give everything up. He said, if I'll give you a divorce, you're not going to get anything. They owned properties together and many different. She said, I told her, so you want to stick around? But I'm going to lose millions of dollars. Okay, fine. And she went for the divorce.
Yeah.
And she probably won't get any dollar from him. She's still going to try. Of course, she'll try her luck, but she's a free bird.
Right.
Life is still huge. She still has,
The bunch of them runs the show.
Yeah.
It's not about.
Don't be scared to take the leap, even if it's painful, because you'll get there.
Right.
And it's painful. Yeah. So it's a choice. Bad or bad, pain or pain.
Yeah. Choose your poison.
Choose your poison.
That's what it is. Now, as far as post-divorce, when a person gets divorced, how does a person deal with? First of all, the stigma. We spoke about it before. This is something that is like, we're living in a community, we're living with people, and this is the divorce or the divorcee. And then it comes with regret. And then it comes with like loneliness. It comes with a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And people, doubting themselves.
Right.
How do you build a self-confidence knowing that what you did is right and you did the right thing and you do have a support system and people understand. People sometimes think that everybody thinks about your business. Everybody has their own problems. What should a person know post-divorce?
Okay, two things. Number one, many people get divorced and never look back for a second. Zero guilt, like myself. I never, ever, ever, not even a split of a second. Because I suffered. I went for all the help in the world possible. And when the time I got divorced, it wasn't just a quick decision. It was clear.
It was a calculated decision. You knew exactly.
I embraced
what
a lot
you were
of
doing.
pain, a lot of pain after divorce, because every shidduch that was read to me, my ex made sure to call up and say the worst things about me. And there's a lot of stuff went on. She's very manipulative, and her family, very big fighters, very unhealthy people. Not to their fault. They also went through pain.
Everybody, yeah.
But
hurt
the
people
mitzvah
hurt
is
people.
Hurt people hurt people. And very hurt people hurt people very.
Yeah.
So I've been through that, but you know what? When the right one came, it came anyway. So that's number one. A lot of people leave without that guilt. And other people that do have times that they think back like, okay, it wasn't good marriage, but look at myself, I'm already divorced 5 years, 6 years, and it's so hard to be single. My message to them is, it doesn't have to be black or white. It doesn't have to be I divorced him because it was impossible to live with him or with her. It was the worst in the world. No. The things that I suffered from is something that I was not ready to live with. I couldn't live with that. And yes, I could remember the good parts also. And you can live with that.
Yeah.
Embrace that thought. Don't push it away. It can't be I like this part from him. Yeah. That's bringing the agony.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's not black or white. It's by choice.
There are certain parts that were good, and we tried, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just live with it. Live with it.
But the fact is that I decided to divorce at the time.
This was number one priority.
And I'm forgetting how much pain it was. Yeah. And that I trust myself that at the time I knew I did everything was right and live with that. And once I tell this to people, they're
geweldig. I love it. It's mamish good. We know that communication is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll hear it from every professional in the world. Communication. Say, because a lot of people, the husband or the wife doesn't even know what the other person wants because they're not talking. And you're just not saying it out loud, even though it's silly and stupid, but this is the person you should be silly with.
Right.
Communication is very important.
Right.
But here's my question. In second marriages, since you have the experience and you speak to a lot of people, the second marriages did they use it as a learning experience, so now they have the communication better than before, or the tolerance level changed? Because tolerance, it's the second time around you learn about tolerance, which the first time, because people doubt themselves, if I would tolerate now, if I have to tolerate the second time, and maybe I should tolerate the first time. So as far as communication, is it a learning experience?
First of all, in the heimische Welt, there's a huge advantage in second marriage. The advantage is that it's accepted to go dating. Nobody gets that. So it's not you're not tolerating. If you get married to tolerate again, just don't do it. People say,
you hear this.
It's a very fanatic word. Anybody that got divorced says the opposite. I went through all the shame and blame and hurt. And the second time it doesn't work, I'm going to divorce again because I don't care anymore what people say. Okay. I want to be happy. You're married.
I want to make it work.
So the second time around is the opposite. I see the second marriages that work are awesome. They're amazing. And if which doesn't, they get divorced again because they're not ready to tolerate it.
Right.
I think that what we should learn and what I preach and the other, my colleagues in Achim B'derech, what we preach and even a sister, is heal yourself now before you get remarried.
Correct.
From your old pain. And whatever you need to structure and to grow.
Learn about yourself.
And then move on. Don't just move on right away. And they always ask me, how healed should I be? I say 70%. The other 30% could only happen once you have experience again with a healthy man, a healthy woman. Right. But at least 70% heal yourself. And you won't have to tolerate. I think that communication is what we are as humans. It's not only there's a doima with medaber. We're called medaber because
we can talk. We have this ability to do it.
Cycle. We have more than the chai that we have cycle. Yeah. We have a prefrontal cortex. They only have a reptilian brain. Yeah. They only have instinct, and we have everything. We're able to make differentiate and to make Avdul, mein Das Avdul, and now we have everything.
So you say use it.
So why are we called Medaber? We should have been called Das, Cycle.
Right.
Because you can have as much cycle as you want. If you can't communicate and give over to the next generation what you learned, or to share with someone, you're just like the Chaya. You're a Medaber. An effective communicator has a good life. And everybody communicates to different levels. Knowing how to communicate to different people, that's the more people you're able to communicate with, types of people you're able to communicate with, the happier and more successful you're in life.
Yeah, and business is the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah.
You need to know who to talk strong, who to be nice, who to be calm. And with every person, and we have an opposite gender. And communicating with them on something that matters to us so much.
Right.
Like chinuch for the kids or money. These are the two main things that people come to for shalom bayis issues. The most issues sitting in my office is when it comes to money or chinuch.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are two things that are very dear and you have two opposite brains. But if they're able to communicate effectively, communication means, like the Baba used to say, the old-fashioned, "Mat einmal, zwei Ohren," you have one mouth and two ears. Yeah. You need to listen double then. Communication is listening. Most people listen in order to answer. They don't listen to understand.
Right.
And if you create space, you say, and you never say, "This is how it's supposed to be." I'm telling you that. You say, "I feel that this is the right thing. I understand." Yeah. And what do you feel?
Right.
You create a space, you can invite the other to share their moment, then you'll get the clarity, actually.
Yeah.
You'll get to a very good place. It's called Das.
Yeah.
We know in the Sfurim it's called Chachma Bina Das. Yeah. Now we know right hemisphere, left hemisphere. It's actually like that. It's amazing how the Kabbalah said it a few thousand years ago. Yeah. So a man has a little more of Chachma, a woman has a little more of Das. And Chachma and Das communicate effectively. The end result, the equals, is Das. Das is amazing. It's like you take a lemon.
The woman has Bina. Chachma and Bina, and then it becomes Das.
Yes, yeah. we have also Chachma Bina Das. They have Chachma. We have much more of Chachma, they have much more of Bina.
Right.
And Bina is more into details. Right. That's why women see details.
You know what they say when a young man comes home from shul and he says he wants to go into business with this shidduch. It's a friend of his. Yeah. The wife tells him she has no idea what business is all about. She doesn't know anything about shoes or whatever. And this guy has this whole big idea that he wants to go in shoes, spend some money and this and that. The wife tells him, "No, don't do it. He'll rip you off." It's like, how do you know? I'm telling you, I know. Yeah. They have a certain being. They know you. They know them. Yeah. There's something there.
I'll tell you why. Because Kabbalistically, Chachma is on the right side. The right hand is Chesed, Gevira Tveres. The left side is Bina is the negative. Who said? How do you know? Details. It's not so trusting. Chachma is like the big idea. I have a grand idea.
Let's do it.
And the woman's like onto details.
Wait a minute.
How we're going to do it. And then Chachma has to answer. And then it's back and forth. The left side is much more connected to feelings as well. So women are much more connected to their gut feeling.
Right.
Their gut feeling sometimes, not from Bina, it's from the Bina side. Right. The feelings comes in and says, I don't know.
Something tells you something. And you should know, if people who didn't listen learned later that they should have listened.
See, most people cannot work with their wife, with their spouse in business. They're not.
Right.
But the ones that are able to, they are the most successful businesses.
Because the women, she's bringing in her balance.
Yes.
Wow.
A little different perspective.
Amazing.
The men and women.
But I've seen some bad things happening when they work together. And that it's not recommended.
Not recommended. But I've seen very, very known businesses that people know. I'm not going to say names. And I know that the husband and wife were together. She sat into every meeting and he said, it was awesome. They were very, very successful. But that's the ultimate.
What would you say to parents who the children take advantage? So let's say if it's in the middle of a divorce, or there's a double set of parents, and if one parent, puts down boundaries and discipline, and they're running left, right, and center, and you don't want to lose them, and it's like a disaster beyond words. Like these kids I'm sleeping over there tonight, I'm sleeping over here tonight. You're not going to give me this, I'm going to run over there.
So the healthy parent is the one that will come and ask me the question, right?
Yeah.
I would tell them, you be healthy. You be you. Chinuch is not about now. Never is. Even a regular marriage, never. If a child did something wrong, your response should be, my response now is going to change their future or just to retaliate for now. It's not about now, chinuch, ever. Many times I turn a blind eye. I don't see what my kids do. Right. Like Yitzchak Avinu didn't see Isaac. Yeah. He's blinded, it says. Yeah. So my wife,
he looked away when he
didn't want to see.
He
saw the good and he saw the future. And in the end, I saw the Takachivah. Rivka was like in Bina, like, no, what's now? Yaakov. So I think that if you do you are the one that gives discipline to the kid. Again, you'll give a little more extra gifts that you would have given to a child because, again, these kids need more. They're going through a lot.
Yeah.
But you do you, and the future, your kids are always going to know. Kids love discipline.
Yeah.
Healthy child loves discipline.
Yeah.
And they'll come and argue and tell you not.
It's like a child who was walking down the aisle in the supermarket, the Nash aisle,
Right.
throws himself down, throws a tantrum over there. They want the candy. So first the mother says, no candy.
Yeah.
But then the mother gives in because she's embarrassed. She's looking around.
Yeah.
This kid now on the floor is looking at the mother. I can't believe this. You don't have my back. Because if I throw myself down for a candy and I get it, then you're weak.
Yeah.
So you actually lost this child.
A child that goes through that cycle in an extreme way turns into a personality disorder.
Yeah.
Because then they know I could throw a bigger tantrum, and then sooner or later, then they do it in marriage.
Yeah.
They do it.
Right.
So they'll always they don't believe that there's no way. They'll use embarrassment. They'll
Right. So how do you treat a child like that? Your discipline is discipline, and
you see, you could tell your child in the car, you did something very not nice, and I want to train you that next time you don't do this. You were about to embarrass me in front of other mothers. I gave it into you, but don't do it again. If you do it again, I'm going to have to let you scream, and you're going to be the fool if the child is old enough to know it. And sometimes if the mother is not strong enough to do that, or the father, you could discipline them later at home when they need something else. Right. Listen, you forced me to get you this. Now you want this. I can't get it to you. You'll have to wait 2 more weeks to get it. I should buy you whatever. Yeah. There's ways to do things.
You can't let yourself be controlled by these kids just because you're going through a hard time.
No.
You have to be very strong.
Yeah, we need to be balanced. You know, a lot of parents say, "Oh, my kids are becoming spoiled," and what happens also is very common in a second marriage. You have your kids and yours, mine, and ours. Right. I have that. Yours, mine, and ours. And your kids go to the ex and they come home with a lot of nash. And now my kids also want that toys. Yeah. Of course, you have to buy it for them. Right. Again, you could always say, that's why this, but we need to have cycle. You can't. Right. Rather, our kids should grow up a little spoiled and have a healthy self-esteem than to be an unspoiled and zero self-esteem. Right. So we'll deal with the spoiled later.
Right. Now, how does a person regain confidence after a trauma? I mean, for the parents, this is also a trauma. And how do you start trusting again?
You're saying, how does someone that's divorced trust again?
Yeah.
They don't. But
let's. We were saying before about they're not trusting themselves. Right. They're missing some. What's missing inside by them?
You see, trust is total nonsense. I think if we could try to explain, I'm not an AI, but if you would take I'm assuming, if you take an AI robot and tell it you should trust the other robot, he's going to say, what does trust mean? I have it or I don't have it. Trust is a gift that humans are able to say, even though I'm not totally secure, I'm ready to do it because other things make sense. So in other words, someone borrows from you $100 and he says, I'll give it back to you next week, Tuesday. And so you lend him the $100. Monday, he comes to you without asking and gives you back the $100. A few weeks later, he asks, can I borrow it $500? He builds up his trust. And, this guy is so honest every time. Then you trust with $1,000. So trust is something that builds up. It's another part of the logic, which is able to extend and say, you know what, although I don't have a mashkin, I don't have a mashkin to replace it, but there's trust. There's a formula, there's a system of trusting. The problem is that most humans in the world don't trust or have issues trusting, some more, some less, is because we were never taught how to trust. I was a little kid in Chayde, telling a secret to my friend, kind of Next day, the whole class comes and tells me that. Right. So that's the first betrayal every time. Yeah. And then again, Kitta Gimel, you trust again. Right. This friend, you could tell, just that secret. And then eventually we stop trusting. But we can't live without trust. And we need to trust as humans, as communicators, as people that mingle with other people. There has to be trust. So people that don't trust anybody are living in pain. So what I recommend, go learn the formula of trust now. I do it one-on-one with clients. I teach them how to trust again. There's a formula. So I always ask people, for instance, I'll give you a quick I trust everybody. I always say, I trust everybody. It depends with what. Yeah. With a dollar bill, everybody. Yeah. If I'm sitting in a bus and There's an old lady sitting near me, or a non-Jew, whoever it is. Can I borrow $5? Give me a name. I lost my wallet. What's the risk factor?
Right.
I'll lose the $5.
Right.
So the risk factor, building trust, it's how much do I trust? So if I sit in a plane tomorrow and I tell my wife, sit down with me, I'm going to drive the plane. And my wife says, I'm getting out of here. You're not driving this. I said, you don't trust me. My wife doesn't trust me. She trusts me. She doesn't trust me to driving planes. I'm not a pilot.
Right.
That doesn't mean she doesn't trust me with something else. So if I trust someone with something, it doesn't mean I don't trust them with something else. So you have three things already. Building trust. How far do you trust? And what's the loss? And then I can make another cheshbon. This guy wants to borrow from me $10,000. He's a very known guy in the community. His name is more worth than $10,000.
Right.
I know he'll get it to me.
Right.
Or I know he owns a lot of property. He has where to take it. But if the guy doesn't have where to take it from.
Yeah.
So we trust everybody. Depends with what and how far.
Right.
So when we want to trust again marriage, I don't know if I could trust again a man. You don't trust that man. You're going to date him because you don't trust.
Right.
As you date him, you start trusting more. You have a dating coach which you trust a little bit. You do a certain amount of percentage. And then eventually, you don't sit at the first date and spell all your beans.
Right,
You know?
right.
So I think that the answer is learn how trust works.
It's part of life.
And it's a must.
It's a
Must. You can't live without it.
because you see that it holds back a lot of people from moving on.
Yeah.
You see that,
Yes.
right?
It holds on. Most people fall through with one business deal or another, and then they give up. The rich people are the ones that fell through many times and trusted again. So the next time they invest in another investment, they took even more people to help them. They're business advisors. But at the end of the day, you have to have a leap of faith based on something that makes sense.
What are some success stories that you saw in second marriages that is like that you can really inspire people?
I can't give names.
Not names, but give me a story of you've seen somebody who went through a very hard time and trust and trusted the process.
You're very known. My wife is very known.
Yeah.
I'll
But you had doubts in the beginning?
No, what do you mean that?
Between when you were divorced, when you divorced after 6 years.
I didn't listen to shidduch for a very long time. My sister kept bringing me names, and I said, all women are crazy. And
you didn't want to listen.
No, I wanted a shout out to my sister. I remember one Shabbos afternoon, I have one and only sister, 6 brothers. So by Shabbos meal by her. And I heard her arguing with her husband quietly. He said, you go to sleep, I'll watch the kids. And she said, you go to sleep, I'll watch the kids. That was the Shabbos told my mother, I think I do want to get married.
Because there's hope.
She gave me, I came from such a crazy place. So
you couldn't believe that there's something like this exists.
That was can you imagine? Wow. And
she didn't have to say anything. It's just by the what you noticed.
Yeah, but I think a crossbreed marriage is something that's very promising, and I want people that listening to this podcast should look into it. I know a very Hasidic man. They got married to a girl that came from very out of town, not yeshivish, but we call Litvish all of them. Anybody that says Baruch Atah.
Yeah.
And they have an awesome marriage. Like I know firsthand, really doing great. So he's flexible and okay. So she brought Shabbos morning sushi instead of instead of like a filter fish.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, that's not marriage. The quality of both of them was so beautiful.
Wow.
And they got married for the shared values. They got married for so many reasons.
For the right reasons.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And they live a life.
So look into that and don't be afraid taking a woman with more kids or less kids. And again, if someone is not capable, but if the person is capable, that should not be the first thing on the priority. First meet the person, see if.
Yeah. What would you say is a healthy way of getting divorced?
Healthy way of getting divorced is,
if you must,
that's amazing. There are mediators that are not Toyanim and the other.
Right.
Both of them go to a mediator.
And they have the kids in mind. The only thing is, the first thing is to say, my kids come first, since we have kids.
Yeah.
And whatever it says, whatever we come up with, whatever deals we make.
But it has to be professional because there's
You're talking about a licensed mediator.
Yes, it has to. This Concord mediation, my friend Yitzi Greenbaum of Muncie, I brought him a few divorces recently when the couples, they don't end up making. My job is to put some bias, but sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And I asked them, do you both really, really, really care for the kids? You don't want to fight? Come to Yitzi. We sit down over there. He has a whole team of, And they have a whole printout of everything. You have to fill out all the forms, your names, everything you own together, and the children, the ages, and therapists involved. And I've been there, and you could drink l'chaim. It's so beautiful to see. Very few still. I want more and more people to divorce.
That's what I'm saying. What percentage of this do you see that?
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. I'm pushing for it. Just 2 weeks ago, Friday, it was a Friday morning, I went with a couple, and they got to share one child. They went over there, and they got divorced. It was so beautiful. Just beautiful stuff. There's no fighting. There's a lot to fight on. They both had this. But again, if you're divorcing a narcissist or a borderline personality,
then
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
The opposite. Then you need a Trump. You need someone to come in, and the bigger your stick is, they'll behave. If you come in nice.
No, nice is not going to work. Nice.
But people that don't, if it's not a personality disorder, if it's just people that are just
two people who were just whatever.
Even if they're in a fight,
it didn't work out.
Sake, you know, and both have to give in. It's a long journey. And it's not about now, it's about the future. These kids are, I see kids as adults with little feet. They're going to be we all remember our childhood. We're all adults. And the kids are going to remember these fights, and it hurts them more than anything else. Do not fight. Do not fight.
And why do children blame themselves when something like that? That's what they say. The professionals say that
even a victim of sexual abuse, even
blames himself.
He blames himself.
Why? What's the psychology behind it?
It's the human condition, which is called any trauma that happens to a person. Trauma is disconnect from reality, disconnect from people.
Right.
And healing is attachment again, right? It's re-healing. When a person goes through that, it's like, it's grief. Like you're grieving yourself before the abuse. And grief goes through a few layers. One of it is feeling guilty.
Right.
And one of it is feeling numb, and one of it is blame, shame, and all the levels of divorce, of grief. So anytime there's grief involved, there is grief involved in being tortured and you're grieving yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the stages is just going to be self-blame.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't look so pretty, maybe this guy would have molested me.
Or whatever.
If I would have been tougher, the other boy wouldn't bully me. If I would.
Yeah.
So it's the human condition, but obviously it's not logic. It's somewhere in between.
So basically, you could recommend for any child that's going through a divorce, healthy or unhealthy, or whatever the case is, because they'll blame their children they'll blame themselves why the parents are fighting.
Yes.
Or why they didn't even get along, or whatever this is. So you definitely recommend therapy for these. It's not even a shalab.
We all need therapy, but the children from divorce
need a special.
I think it's the most beautiful thing that Hashem gave the world the last few years. The awareness of being helped.
Yeah,
it's like you want to hear something beautiful. I was by a convention 2-3 months ago of many different dating coaches. So I was there. They're like a whole. One of them stood up and said, it became an attractive thing by many dating boys and girls dating, and it became an attractive thing. Oh, I'm doing this mental. I'm doing this therapy. Which therapy are you doing? I'm doing breath work. Oh, you do. It became an attractive thing. Like, oh, you're not helping, so how am I going to get married to you?
Yeah,
because we have now it's scientifically proven. Recently scientifically proven. We knew it all along, but now we have in our genes 2,000 years of gulas. Not only the Holocaust.
Right.
We had all the expulsions. We have our great grandfather lost a child and is crazy. It's still in his genes. And you think Mashiach is going to come for crazy people? We all need to heal before he comes. So we're all healing. I'm healing. I'm going for help all the time.
Everybody.
It's amazing. I wish I could afford more. I would do even more.
Yeah.
It's people think, oh, you go for therapy for help. These are people that never didn't have the privilege, didn't have the gift of. You don't have to go every day. You go every now and then. Go through a hardship. I need.
There are still people who don't believe in therapy.
That's the first indication that they need it.
Yeah, because they still think it's a scam.
It's like I went to these weekend events. I did. There used to be once. Call of the Shofar was called. In Baltimore. You remember it? Many years ago. It's closed down, but there's a lot of offshoots.
Started in Crown Heights or something?
No, Crown Heights came from there. I was together with the guys. So I was there for Shabbos. I remember probably 12 years ago. And from there, a lot of them, the son, Frischlich was there, and I forgot all the names, Mo, and all of them were doing events. I remember when we came in there for It was extended weekend. Nobody wanted to share names. Don't tell anybody you saw me here.
Right.
When we left, everybody said, "Tell everybody we were here. We want," and it always happens.
Embrace it. Yeah, embrace it. There's nothing wrong with
Again,
it.
and then people start going to ayahuasca and they're going to very extreme. I think that some people need it because they tried every single trauma therapy and it didn't work for them. If you're doing really guided with the right people, you should do whatever you have to. And a lot of people don't need it. So there's no blanket statement. It is good. It's not good. Whatever needs to be done. Breath work is awesome. And talk therapy, what I do with clients, whatever it is, cranial therapy, we need to heal. We're not just healing our own traumas. We're healing our fathers and grandparents and great-grandparents. And it's working. And it's still a long way to go.
Yeah,
but we're getting there.
So how does a parent from who's not divorced, or parents who are divorced, or parents who have blended families, how do they build trust with the kids?
Very good question. How does a parent build trust with a child?
He's getting a new family, or his existing family.
You're talking to a blended to
both,
non-biological.
Everybody. I mean, in general, how does a parent
just be real? They'll trust you.
Yeah.
Just be real. And say your flaws. I tell Ying a lot. It's a good example. You got dating, and the woman says, "I'm coming with 3 kids and 2 kids, and I want him to love my kids." I always say, he's not going to love your kids like he loves his own kids. He's going to love your kids the maximum you could love someone else's child.
Mm-hmm. Because you're very realistic.
You're realistic. And your children are going to feel the regular love. That's what he could do. The closest you could love your spouse's kids is like your sister's child. And that's huge.
Right.
That's huge.
But that's honest.
Huh?
That's honesty.
It's honesty.
Yeah. And
honesty is so the woman has no expectations.
They respect
every time
it. And the children will respect that too.
Yes.
A child itself is not so stupid. They know exactly that you can't love them the way you love. Children know everything.
There's something there that Hashem gave a gift for us humans, that we have 2 people in this world, hopefully they're normal and healthy, that have unconditional love, unconditional love.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, but there's another thing in Yiddishkeit which is very beautiful. It's called have is love, comes from the illusion have is giving. There is such a thing when you give to someone so many years,
you can build
that it becomes actually part of you.
Mm-hmm.
So we see nurses that get attached to, there has a name, I forgot the name is. It's a condition.
Patients.
They get attached to the patient in a very, very extreme. If the patient dies, they can never recover because they give them so much. So as a parent, giving to a stepchild, really, really giving them, usually when they're young and able, you really love them almost like to the max possible.
Right.
So
what you're saying is you have to be authentic. Be yourself. And share with these children your challenges and the communication again with build the trust. It's not so complicated. It's very simple.
Kids. My times, our parents are children of Holocaust survivors. They felt that we're not going to respect them if they're going to be real to us or vulnerable. So they wanted to be a good father, strong father. He never showed himself crying or anything, or he made a mistake, anything like that. They were hiding it. I could tell my kids, yesterday I came home. I came home, I was exhausted, long. I come home, and you talked to me, and I ignored you, or I didn't answer you, or I screamed at you. I want to apologize to you. I did a mistake yesterday. I love you very, very much, and I always love you. It was me. And my child respects me more.
Of course.
By being real.
Right.
And even if they listen to me on the phone call and I'll say, you know what, I wasn't so nice. Be real.
Right.
Real is respect.
Right. Yeah, that's very smart. Now, you're also involved with teens.
Yes.
Now, these are not teens just coming from divorced homes. These are teens from the street, regular teens. How should a parent deal with a teen who comes home and says, I want to drop out of school?
What they should do?
Yeah.
They should start feeling bad and not judge them.
Right. Not react and
feel bad. We judge them. And it's a big avodah to get there. It's a lot of work to get there. So I'm saying the end result. But really, nobody wants to drop out of school. Nobody wants to hurt parents. Nobody wants to be different than their family. And nobody wants to be different than their friends. And if someone is choosing to do something different, I believe
there's an underlying
that there's an underlying trauma, there's an underlying pain that's forcing them to do something. And trauma could be sitting through school or chayder for many years and not knowing you'll never make it, like the 5 tough kids, or you're just ADD, or you're just learning disabled,
Right.
or even your regular kid, you're just not able to get there. So that's very traumatic. Every single day you're sitting through school, every hour is years, and you'll never make it. A collective, it's called complex trauma. The collective, all of that is just like trauma. It's even worse. Even worse, the studies say than a one-time trauma that you experienced seeing someone get burned alive. That's terrible, terrible trauma.
Yeah.
But going through complex trauma, extended periods of having a father alcoholic or whatever, like extremely extreme version of alcoholic or whatever, absent parent, that's trauma. And that causes for the person to not be able to think regular and
Right.
make decisions. So they make wild decisions. They're being a very wild teenager, and they're doing. So the parent should never judge anybody. Never judge yourself, and even more so, never judge your kids. And if your child comes home and says, "I can't go back to school. I can't take it anymore," they take out the yarmulke, or you find them with a smartphone. Let's say, and your ideals is not to have one, and they start doing things. Immediately start. Have rachmunis, have mercy on them. Then you won't judge them, because there's a beautiful thing in our brain that the way Hashem created. You cannot have chesed and gevura. You cannot have din and rachmim in the same place. Time. It cannot work.
Oh, that's...
You can't love someone
and be angry.
Yeah. You could be angry, yes. You could be hurt and love them, yes, that you could.
Right.
You can't hate them and love them.
Right.
You can't be because there has to be some. So I started having rachmunis. Yeah, so my child is starting to be different than the family.
Because he's obviously struggling.
So just love him more. Right. Embrace him more. I just had a phone call yesterday. Parents come from Lakewood because my daughter doesn't want to go back to school, and she has a little bit of anxiety, a little bit. I said, what do you know? A little, maybe it's more. Like, what do you know? Maybe she's crying every night. And so whatever, I told him to go for help. And do not force her to go back to school. Tell her she could be home forever. Right. We love you. We'll give you whatever
We're here for you.
In a few days, if B'ez Hashem, if it's just a short, episode that she's going through, she'll go back to school on her own. You don't have to force her. If someone drops Yiddishkeit, if someone drops the values of the family, it's not because the old fashions of 500 years ago, 200 years ago, when they decided, like they read some books against Yiddishkeit and they realized, it's pain. And you're gonna give them more pain by forcing them to do things or to throw them out of your house? Do you know how much pain? How could you do that? Would you kick your child out of the house if they broke a leg or they're going through a...
Same thing.
You would do everything. Oh, what's doing with the other kids? They're being ruined. Yes, what's doing with the other kids when you have a child that's on chemo, Hashem Yirachem? Or the whole family...
There's no
families, there's no day, no night. The parents are in the hospital back. Oh, you're going to take the child? Get out of here. We need all the kids.
There's no difference.
There's no difference. It's because they're doing it out of pain. And this is what people need to understand. Nobody chooses to be different than their family.
Correct.
Nobody chooses, even in the Jewish world. If someone is born and raised in an Italian family and they decide to become...
rebelliousness is a sign of something.
Yes.
You have to look under you have to understand what is behind it.
Not to the
It's just like the bottle, the alcohol is not the problem.
No.
The alcohol is the escape.
People around are suffering from the alcohol.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that the addict doesn't like the bottle.
Right.
He's covering up something.
I had a couple.
So
You want to laugh? I had a funny thing. I had a couple of kids to me, like 35-year-olds. Just recently, it was the funniest thing. They're quite a good couple. And she came to me. She said, "Yeah, I don't have too much things in it, but every Shabbos my husband drinks too much, and it's getting worse lately. And it comes from the kiddush, which is a big problem.
Oh, it's a huge problem itself.
So and this and that, and I went to this one already, to that one. Maybe you could talk to him." And I said, "How's your marriage? How could you rate your marriage from 1 to 10? And I asked him, I asked her. And his numbers are very different than her numbers. So we came to a place to realize there's certain very important things that a woman should give her husband. She was not. So I said, listen, how about you change the cause? You do you. You be the best wife in the world for a few weeks. Don't mention, he was out of the room. Don't mention a word about alcohol. Let's say if he's going to take less. And it was the funniest. She called me one day. She said, you are so right.
Uh-huh.
She changed the call. He wasn't yet addict yet.
Right.
Addict. I don't know anything about addiction, so I never give opinions on addiction. I learned. I know. I once gave an opinion. I'm seeing people 18 years already, but I remember way in the beginning, it's addiction is a total different topic. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not. Okay. But obviously, he was not addicted, according to my understanding. Maybe addicts will say I was off. I don't know. And Baruch Hashem, he's in a different place. So. Yeah, we need to deal with the cause. If a child misbehaves at home, even a little child. So my little daughter is misbehaving. I come home, my wife says, she's hurting the little one. She's throwing, whatever I did, I screamed, I bribed her. She's not behaving. Okay, her behavior is not doing well. So what do I think? She's feeling something. Our behavior is a result of our feelings.
Correct.
So I sit down on the couch, and I sit on my lap. I say, come, tell me, how was your day today? I didn't mention a word. Why are we so bad at home? Why are we hurting everybody? 15 minutes attention. She went off my lap. She was the best kid ever, like every single day. I didn't mention a word. So you change people's feelings. You don't change their behavior.
Right.
That's old-fashioned.
Right.
If I didn't behave, I got a patch.
Yeah.
Patch doesn't help. So I did a bad behavior, gave me another bad behavior. So now I'm going to hurt the kid even more.
Yeah.
Now I'll be more hurt.
That's amazing. You change people's feelings.
Yes.
You change how they feel
Don't change
in their own life.
Yes.
Then you will see something on the outside.
And if a child is misbehaving, just love them more, take them in, embrace them, and whatever it takes, what would we not do for our kids?
Now, here's where
can take a long time, sometimes.
Here's where the parents need to also. That's why it's important for everyone to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Because the parents have an image to uphold.
Oh, that's
So if they have an image to uphold, that my daughter is not going to school, or so there's 15 other things that's bothering you than the actual
yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Because you
We
would
all-
want to
we're all
help the
guilty
child.
of it, some
So-
more, some less.
Right. So everyone has to become aware at the same time that we are a work in progress.
Yes.
We need help, and it's okay. And this
And
is
we don't care
life.
what other people think.
You can't care what other people think.
Because caring what other people
It
think
will
is
kill you.
basically hurting your ego.
It will kill
But
you.
if a person has a very healthy ego, they wouldn't care.
Right.
So Hashem wants us to fix our ego.
Right.
He sends us a child that's
To give us a
to
lesson.
give us a lesson to stop thinking. Because the staat in de gemoede, Aina nieve hier gooi hem loeden we moeten regelen.
That's what a balgava, right?
Eh?
With an ego, with a balgava.
With the Balgava,
Yeah.
I can't live with the Hashem says. So
you know,
Mashiach's gonna come.
there's not one more place where it says that.
No.
You can, a person does a virus, he can do Chiva, there's Yom
Yeah.
Kippur, there's
Can't
this,
do
this. But a balgava is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
And if you look around, then you'll see in divorces and you'll see it everywhere. It's the ego.
Yeah.
It's
A lot of
everything
kids are
narrows down
acting
to
up
the
because
ego.
They put into the wrong school because of the father's ego, and now he's suffering even more. So he wanted to
Right.
say one thing: this kid's
Right.
gonna mash him in the streets. He's gonna have
Right.
more ego to deal
Right.
with.
Right.
I had someone called me, a very ultra Chassidish guy called me up, I don't know, 2 years ago, whenever it was, and he said that his son is struggling, and in the yeshiva, in one of the Chassidish yeshiva, and where he could send him. So I gave him a name of another yeshiva where he should send him, 14-year-old kid. And over there, he said, nah, it's too schwach. Over there, they learn very... I said, yes, but over there, he's going to feel like... I felt it would be...
Yeah.
No. My older kids, my older kids, this time with Chocham, and this one, he put him into upgraded yeshiva where he did not belong.
Right.
Half a year later, this guy called me up and said, take him to any yeshiva. My son is not even wearing a yarmulke anymore. I didn't say I told you so. I never do that.
Right.
I don't twist the knife
Right.
when it's in there. But, we all need to have a healthy ego. Sometimes it can only be... Ego is good, a healthy ego. I'm not saying to crush an ego.
Right.
Crushed egos is the ones that have become bad guys. A healthy ego is knowing who you are, knowing the gifts that Hashem gave you, and knowing what Hashem did not give you. That's a healthy ego. Moshe Rabbeinu knew he was the leader of Klal Yisrael. He was the biggest unav. He didn't know he's the only one that could talk to Hashem. He didn't.
Yeah.
Hashem gave it to me, but use it. The Gemara says that he was a unav. He didn't want to be moich, and that's why the whole Chorban Beis Hamikdash, because he was an unav in the wrong place. He had a warped ego. A good ego is to know your status, know what you're good at, and know what you're not
Who
good
you are
at.
and know what you bring to the
And
table.
know that Hashem gave it to you, and just don't say my work. No, Hashem gave me cycle to do something.
It's amazing work what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable work what you're doing. I have a final question.
Sure.
Who is your role model?
It depends on what. I would say my biggest role model in the world is my father.
Psh,
He was my biggest role model.
he just passed away,
Yeah,
right?
2 months ago. Yeah, he's an awesome person.
You had a unbelievable relationship with this man.
I loved him. And I always knew he loved me. Always knew he loved me. It was very rare for people that age. Was he missing a lot of things? Yes. I'm not saying he was perfect. He was not. But as a child-parent relation, it was amazing. I always felt that he loved me. He cared for me. And I saw him. He was the most honest person you've ever seen in your life. And he respected other people's time. Like, he would get upset, if I would go to... when I started my life, when I was the first marriage, I used to do draperies and curtains,
Mm-hmm.
a curtain business, a decorator, and that's why I like your curtains. And he told me, you're going to somewhere, you're telling them you're going to be there at 12 o'clock, you have to walk at 12 o'clock. Because maybe they have an appointment. He couldn't understand. You're calling a plumber. He used to say, it's just like this Gezel Shina, you're stealing someone's sleep. You're not listening to someone's time.
Yeah.
And a word was a word. Honest was honest. He never said a lie in his life. He respects other people. He respected other people. He taught us that Levish things are not important. He was a toichniga. He's a businessman. But he always learned a few hours a day. He was a person from Amuliga. I would say he was my biggest role model. And he was very into the time when I grew up. He was very into the Avigdor Miller.
Mm.
And we grew up in the car. This was what we hundreds of tapes of the Avigdor. So the Avigdor definitely is a lot of my shkofa.
Wow.
But later, I got very connected to Chassidus. My father's not connected to Chassidus. He got to Strama, but not in Chassidus.
He wasn't.
He was connected. He went to the Alta Saltmaruf and the Alta Square Rebbe. These are the two Rebbes that he liked. He never connected to Rebbes afterwards. But he's not really Chassidus. I'm very into Chassidus. Sifrech Baal Shem Tov and two generations. The first two, I'm not into Chassidus today. I'm into Torah Chassidus. So I would say a mix of my head is Torah Chassidus and then of course I went out and I learned a lot of psychology and other things in the mix. And
this is the result. This is the result from healthy parenting. The Rabbi Shalom gave you a gift, but sometimes the Rabbi Shalom puts through a person certain on a journey, so you can do your shlichus. You're doing your shlichus 100%.
I saw today in the morning in the afteroof of this week's Parsha, and he says the whole Klal Yisrael as a whole had to go through gulas to grow.
Yeah.
So I translate gulas as trauma.
Right.
So there's collective trauma. Right, collective consciousness, collective trauma.
Yeah.
And then there are certain moments in history where we had more trauma, less trauma, and in our own life we have certain times of more trauma, less. But trauma is here to motivate us to do something, because if everything goes good, we don't do anything.
Yeah.
If someone has everything going, they're just sleeping.
In comfort zone, you're not going to get it. Yeah.
So it is, but going through trauma, the biggest trauma of Mitzrayim, they came out they had to physically work, and it gave them such clarity in life.
Right.
They were able to even makabel the Torah afterwards.
Right.
So our struggles, every struggle that I went through, I can't pinpoint this created this in me, but definitely who I am today is because all the pain I went through.
Of course.
I'm still struggling with a lot of things, Baruch Hashem.
We're a work in progress.
Well, a lot of things, Baruch Hashem. Hashem is testing me in a lot of ways.
Right.
And you know what? While we're in it, it's very hard to see the light, but at least I look back at the old things, and I see the light that it came from there.
Right, and now you can say thank you.
Yeah, my Zayda told me, my father's father, was a big role model of mine. He was an Ashkenazi Shidduch, He lived till 198. So he told me, when I was in school, he was still alive, he was just nifted 20 years ago. So I asked him, how did he survive the war? He had a wife and 2 kids. Hitler killed his wife and kids.
Where was
he?
Had a business part? He was in
Edelin, Interland.
Yeah,
Edelin. And we have pictures from his business, tiny pictures, like from his father even. His father was killed in the Holocaust. He went through a lot. And then he got remarried again to my grandmother. I had my father and sister. Started life was the happiest person. I said, Zaidi, tell me, we go through a quarter of that, we can't survive. You know what he told me? The smartest thing ever. He says, because I went through struggles before the Holocaust, that's why I was able to. He lost his mother when he was a teenager.
Wow.
His mother died to the Russian flu. And he had the one only brother, Cyril Naftula, which also died from the Russian flu. And his father was in World War I in the army. So he was raised for those few years by his aunt. Then when his father came back, and then he got married.
But that gave him the strength.
He said, I knew how to deal with trauma. It was my first thing. And it gave me, he said, only then I realized. He remarried again, started from scratch. The time he was nifty, he had Einiglich and Iraglich, and he owned this house. He was a settled. Hashem gave him very good. He told me, I was still struggling with my ex then. He was very, very pained. He never saw my new wife, but shame, he sees from Shemaim. But he told me, some people struggle the first half of their life, some the second, some in the middle, some nowhere, some always. Just because he struggled still now, who said you're going to struggle from now? It went into my head. He was very smart. He used to throw like these nuggets, bumper stickers.
Yeah.
He always had bumper stickers. He didn't talk a lot, but what he always said was he was a very smart man. So sometimes we go through one thing to be able to
Yeah. The main thing is not to throw in the towel.
That's from the towel.
Just
We're
continue
not
going.
give-uppers.
Yeah,
If we're here today, we're
this
not give-uppers.
Yeah, this is not our
It's another
fabric.
good thing we have. There's a good thing we have in our genes. Because if one of our grandparents would have given up, we wouldn't be here.
Correct.
So it's a chain. A chain is only as strong as the
We're
weakest
not
link.
giving up. We're not the giving up type.
Yeah, I'm not the last ring is link is gonna be weak. No way. We're fighters. We're gonna get.
The Bnos NY should give you chokhmah bin and das.
Amen.
You should continue doing what you're doing, the good work.
Thank you for giving me the privilege and people like you that are going into these topics. Not everybody.
Thank you. Yeah,
comfortable getting into it.
No,
it's quite. It's not.
It's about awareness.
It's bringing to awareness.
It's about awareness.
You're gonna have a schis, and all the Yidden are gonna be helpful. This topic and many other topics that you're doing.
I hope so. Shkoyach.
Thank you.